Okay, good. Okay. Okay. Um, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another software development class. I hope you guys have been having fun. Please let me know if you can hear me before we proceed. Just yes and one yes, and I think that will be enough. Good evening. Okay, okay, okay. So I think we're good. Cool. So for today's class, we'll be doing introduction to database. We'll also be speaking a little on SQL versus no SQL. Some books we call it SQL and all, but SQL versus no SQL. So before that, I hope we are all prepared for this class. So I'm assuming that you already got a link to download some softwares that we might be requiring for this class. Uh, Let me just ask so I don't assume too much. Do we all have XAMPP installed? Do we all have MongoDB installed? I'm assuming this yes I'm saying is for the question I just asked. So I feel we're good to go. So with that being said, it's like people call me advisor, but I would like to advise again. Uh, like we have been saying from the onset, it will not be easy. But for some reasons, I'm feeling this is going to be easy for you guys because you have good hands that are ready to prevent you from making the mistakes we made on the process of learning. So the reason we are here is to make sure you don't make the mistake we make, to make the process smoother for you. So please, and nevertheless, even if you don't have it installed, no problem. We'll just talk on it. Okay? It's not difficult. It's not difficult. Okay, cool. So I'll be starting with the class now. Can we proceed? Can I get a little yes? Maybe one yes. Is the no for the software or for the class? So even if you don't have the software installed, you have to. Okay, no problem. Let's proceed. Don't worry. It's not a must you practice on the fly. You can do the practice later. But just make sure you install the software later, okay? So the reason I requested for everyone that wants to practice as we teach immediately to install that software so that you can do yours while I do mine. But it doesn't stop you from doing yours later, okay? So it shouldn't be a criteria. So let's proceed. So I'll be going to my first slide. Welcome to class 9. So what we'll be covering today. So for today, we'll be starting with what is a database. We'll look at some real life application of databases. We'll look at SQL, which is also can also be seen as relational databases. We'll also look at the forming of SQL. We'll look at NoSQL, which is a document type database. So if you notice, I shared two links to download via the person that helped us. We have the one that takes you to XAMPP. XAMPP connects you to my SQL, which is an example of SQL. Then MongoDB is an example of NoSQL. Okay, so even if we don't get to practice both, it's something you should be able to do on your own. So I'm assuming that, okay, let me not assume yet. Let's just go into the class. We don't have much time. So this is already 7:05. So we'll also be looking at comparison between SQL and NoSQL. So I go to the next slide. So by the end of this session, participants, which is all of us, including myself, should understand what a database is and why it's useful. Distinguish between SQL and NoSQL. Identify common use cases for both SQL and NoSQL. Write basic SQL queries. Choose the right type of database for a given use case. So, can we start proper now? Okay, I'm assuming we can start now. Okay, so I'll just look at the comments quickly. If I'm seeing anything that is saying not yet, calm down. What is XAMPP and what is MongoDB? Yes, I think somebody already asked to calm down. So just calm down, okay? All these are just software, so calm down. Downloaded system demanded I turn off ESC. You need to know what that means. If you can turn it off, it's not an issue. It's more of like a firewall feature and all, but now you can go ahead and turn it off. So let's start. So, what is a database? I believe this is not the first time. I'm assuming again a positive assumption that the word database is not new to us. We must have been hearing of the word database, database, database. So, what is this actual database? Like I've been saying from my previous classes, I like to separate the base keywords if something is looking a bit confusing for me. So I look at this now. What is data and what is base? So you can probably see data as a used information, a useful information. Then maybe base, maybe something on the low level. So, but the combination of data, when you say something is database, meaning it's based on data. That is the purest and simplest way I can look at this definition. If we are going by the definition we have here, we have a digital way to store, manage, and retrieve data. So you can think of it like an organized digital file cabinet. So the thing is, before the advent of a database and all, people have been storing data. For instance, now, if you go to hospitals, let's say you go to one of all these universities, most of their systems are still file based. You carry your card, you say you want to see a doctor, they go, they search for your file, they bring your file. That is data, but it's not digitized. So database is digitizing everything to make it easier for you to fetch for stores by just performing simple queries. Okay? And the word query is like it is. For instance, if I say I query you, meaning I'm seeking something from you, I'm asking you a question, I'm demanding a response from you. The same thing you do to a database. You need results, you query a database. Okay? So, example of database, you can have a table with names, email, and grades. We can have a table that carries, let's say, table of students. You can say maybe a table of patients that visit a hospitals. So the thing is, the way I want you guys to think is, um, if you notice the way we started this course, we did not just dash into downloading stuff and coding and all. We want you to understand the full basics of what software development entails so that you appreciate it. So, when you encounter a problem, you are trying to solve a problem, you shouldn't just think about when do I start coding, you should think about what is the solution you are trying to provide. So, for instance, now, let me say I'm trying to create a database. We're moving on, or just taking it one at a time. I'm trying to take a database for students. Database simply contains what we call tables. I'm assuming most of us have done stuff relating to tables, that is rows and columns and all. Okay. Uh, what are the stuff will I need to take to register a student? Probably I will need his first name and last name. Probably I don't want to do first name and last name. I just want full name. I can do that. It's my choice. Probably I want to know the age of the student. Probably I want to know maybe guardian name. So think along that line. If you are solving a problem, what are the data you need for that problem? In the previous classes where we have Mrs. Musola and Mr. Deji handled, there were examples on quotes. So if we are to replace the file system, because what we used for those classes were more file system, there was a JSON file that was writing stuff. So I don't need to explain the meaning of JSON again. I'm assuming everyone here is a professional. So let's move on. So there was a file that we were storing data, right? So if you have to convert that file to a database, meaning you are converting it to a table form, what do you need? Okay, let's say you need an ID. An ID will just be able to identify one quote from another. Where do you want to store this quote that will be in the database? Let's say a text, a string. So stuff like that. So you need to start thinking in that aspect. That is how you solve problems, okay? So let's proceed to the next slide. So real life application of database. So Over here, I have Instagram. I'm assuming everyone here is on Instagram. I'm assuming. Even if you are not on it, it's not a problem. So what do Instagram use database for? They store posts, they store likes, they store comments. We have Netflix, you store movies and recommendations, rating, your conventional bank that you use. They store transaction, they store the details of customers, they take notes of the last withdrawal, they take notes of the tier the customers is attached to. There are so many things like that. So depending on what you are trying to build, you determine what are the data you need. So for me, anytime I'm trying to build a software, my own approach, I start from the database. I need to know what table relates to what table. What are the information I'm getting from my users? Uh, those that will use the app, whether it's a fleet management system or hospital management system. What are the data am I collecting? Then, how does one table relate to another? Okay, you need to get all this structure out properly. And there's nothing wrong in probably getting a book and a Bible to actually write before you start thinking of implementation and drafting. Then as time goes on, you can probably start projecting things without writing. I still write, funny enough. I still use a board, funny enough. Okay? So you ask all these questions. So for now, we have Instagram, Netflix, but there's so many other. Your church today might tell you that they want to build a database, a software that manages everything about the members in the church. What will you need? You might need the age of the members of the church to determine if they fall under youths or adults or children, stuff like that. Okay. So by management system. So management system, like the name management, just for managing stuff. Like I mentioned, the hotel management system, we have hospital management system. It's just a name conversion. It doesn't really matter. But the bottom line is this: whatever you are building, make sure you try to understand what are the people that will be using it, what information you're going to be taking from the people that will be using the app, and how does this information relate to what you need. So if you can clear this part out, the building is easy. The major part is the database for me. How the tables relate, how does one table relate to another table? If you can properly itemize all these things, then your coding is just implementing what you have already envisioned. Then your job is just converting the database you have thought about or maybe written on a book to actual database in the system, then writing an app that connects to the database. Already, you guys must have learned from the previous class about code. When I say code, I mean your create, read, update, delete. Then you know how all this interaction affects your database. So please, anything you are building, if it's going to be database related, if you're going to be storing things like maybe the user data, the user is going to be able to log in, start from the database. Okay, cool. I'm going to go to the next slide quickly. So I'll be starting with introduction to SQL, which is what? Relational database. So SQL, like the name implies, means structured query language. You can see the word query. So structured meaning that the database itself is structured. You can't use this without defining what you want to be on the database. Okay. Query because you are asking for results, you are querying the database, and it's a language. So I think by now it's already making sense to you guys in the way that we have you have programming language, you have query language. Now you have also heard of script language. Now you're hearing query language. So take note of them. Okay. For those just joining us, welcome. But I'm not going too far, so you are still on the right lane. Okay. So before I go into what I'm saying here, I'll just talk a bit because I don't want this class to be all about more of terminologies and all. You will get to know terminologies when the time comes. What I need you to know is to focus on what you actually need for now. It's not a must to get everything now, but I need you to get enough that will take you to the next level. Okay. So SQL is made up of It's made up of three major components. Okay, we have what we call the DML. Please, it's not on my slide because I feel you might not need it, but it's good you know. We have what we call the DML, which stands for data manipulation language. So for the DML, you see something like you say select, insert, update, delete. So when you say manipulation, meaning you are making changes. Anything that involves making changes to what is in the database is under the what? The data manipulation language. Okay. So we also have what we call the data definition language. Definition. So you see stuff like create, alter, drop. So you use create for maybe when you are creating a database or you are creating a table or you are creating a view. You use alter when you are making changes. Alter, like the word alter. So if you notice most of all these programming and query languages, the keywords is close to something you know normally in English. Create, we all know the meaning of the word create. Okay? Alter, you know alter means to change something. Then we also have another example of data DDL, data definition language, which is for drop. When you are dropping something, you are removing a table from a database. Okay. Then the last but not the least is data control language, DCL. You see stuff like grant and invoke. But mind you, all these things I'm mentioning, there's high tendency that in your full programming career, and it's not like I'm saying it's just what it is. In your full programming career, you might be more focused on the whole DML and DDL, more of the DML, which is the what? The data manipulation language, which focuses just on your creates, your select, your insert, your update, your delete. I don't know if I'm not confused anybody here. So let's go back to our slide. So now we have SQL, which stands for structured query language. What does it use? It uses more of tables. So if you see by the side, you see an example showing you a table. I'm assuming this is a table for students. We have the student ID, we have the name, we have the address. It's just a table. Okay. Then we have what another property of SQL is what? Fixed schema. What does that mean? It simply means that it has a fixed structure. Okay. It doesn't change. If you define a table that this table should only contain name and sex, name and age, for instance, the only thing you'll be able to store on that table will be name and age, except when you alter the table, when you call DDL, data definition, except when you alter the table and maybe add an extra column, let's say address. That is when you can do anything new, anything extra. So in other words, for SQL, which is under the forms of database, everything is defined. Okay. So I already mentioned DDL means data definition language, but please don't kill yourself with the terms. Focus on what you're learning, okay? Focus on what you actually need. When you have time, you can go ahead and study on your own. But for now, I need you to be able to do basic stuff, okay? Basic stuff. So let's proceed. Common examples of database under SQL. We have MySQL, which is part of the XAMPP I asked you guys to download. We have Postgres SQL. We have SQLite. Okay. So, but for the purpose of this class, we'll be using SQL. So, for those that have XAMPP, can you just have installed? Can you just type I have it installed on the chat so I know? The XAMPP. I'm not even talking of the MongoDB. Okay. Do we have those that have installed it already? Yes. Okay, so let's proceed. So the thing is this. So even if you have, I'm seeing in the comments that some people have Microsoft's SQL installed. You can literally run the same query languages. Okay, it's still the same thing. They still operate under SQL. Maybe just some few maybe little changes in keyword, but it's the same thing. Okay. So I'll be sharing my screen now. I'll be starting with XAMPP. Okay. I'm assuming that almost everyone have installed. Even if you have not installed it, no problem. You can still make reference to the video later and install. Okay, can we proceed? What I'm asking if you have installed is XAMPP, which is a Cross S and an AMPP. So don't worry, you will get it. So let's continue. I'll be sharing my screen now. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. So can you see my screen? I don't know if I'm presenting it to you. Okay, I think, yeah. So I believe my screen is up now. No, it's up now. It's up now. I think it's up now. Okay, cool. So let's proceed. Welcome again. I hope you guys are not tired of coding, Sha, because I remember when we started, it was a whole lot of when would we start coding. Now we have started the coding, and I'm seeing some complaints, but I'm hoping you guys will calm down and get this thing work properly. Okay. So let's start. I'm going to open my XAMPP. I'll try as much as possible to be very slow, maybe not too slow, reasonably slow, so that I carry everyone along. Everyone I can. Let me specify that. So if I have XAMPP installed, I should see it under my all apps. So let me search for XAMPP. Sorry. So Windows is not really my friend, but for now, I feel it's nice to use it for this class. So that is XAMPP for you. Okay, so I'm going to wait for it to show a bit if I click on it. Okay, so that is XAMPP. So I'm going to click on it. So when you click on XAMPP, you should see this panel, this control panel. Don't focus on I'm not making anything bigger for this. I'll just tell you where you are going to. So you only need two things here. If you look carefully, I'm not sure I can zoom this. There's no option for zooming here, but I'll zoom when we start the actual query, okay? You will see the option for Apache and MySQL. Those are the only two things you are starting. So I'm going to click Start on Apache. Please forgive my English. I'm also going to click Start on MySQL. So if you look carefully, the Apache has started and is running on ports 80 and 443. So know that it's part of this class. In most cases, 80 is for a HTTP, okay? 443 is for your HTTPS, just so you know. Then MySQL in most cases run on 3306 ports. You can go and research what port is all about. Shouldn't be something that scare you, okay? Maybe I've heard of it before. So as far as I have this running now, all I need to do is to click on admin by the side. I click on admin and I have this. It opens my browser with this page. Okay? So you have XAMPP, Apache plus MariaDB plus PHP plus Pair. We are just going to focus on what we need. Hope I've not lost anyone yet. Am I too fast? I'm assuming I'm not too fast. Please, if I'm too fast, please comment. So we'll go back. Oh, I've lost. So, okay. We don't lose since I lost you. Let's take it easy. I'll go back. So this is what I will do. I'm going to close this. So, but please, you also have time to go back to the video and watch. So it's not a must to get everything. But all I did was open XAMPP, okay? And I started Apache and MySQL. The moment I started them, you can see green by the side. I don't know if you're seeing where my cursor is. Yeah, you should. You can see green by then. I clicked on Start. By the time I did that, all I needed to do was to click Admin. And it's going to open my browser. Okay. So please, you need to download XAMPP when you have the time. But mind you, I'm only using XAMPP so that everyone is on the same page. It's not a must to use XAMPP. We also have a DB Lite, SQL DB, SQL Lite, which you can use. Yes, XAMPP is a software. If you are using Mac, you might necessarily not even need to do this at all. But I notice you guys are complaining as if everything is revolving around Mac. That doesn't mean you cannot work with a Windows system. But as time goes on, please, you can push towards getting something better. But Windows works fine. Okay. So once you're on this page, what I need you to do is to click on PHP My Admin. So I'm going to click on PHP My Admin and wait. It's not supposed to take that long. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so now PHP My Admin is opened. So most of our class will be focused on this, okay? So I'll just point out some few sites you need to take note of. I hope you guys can see the screen better now. I have it zoomed already here, okay? So we proceed. By the left side, you will see some few stuffs. I'll allow you to do this, go through this on your own later, but I'm not focusing on it. So everything you see here with the plus, with the database icon, if you guys recall the database icon that was shown at the first slide, everything here you are saying is a database. So meaning over here we have information schema, which is a database, MySQL, which is a database. Everything here is a database. Okay. So if you have to create a database, you can simply click this plus. Okay. I'll show you another means of doing this. Then you specify the name of the database. In this case, let's still continue with our student database. Okay. I'm going to say the database name is students. Then I click create. I'll allow you explore on your own. I'm not touching everything. Just focus on specifying the name of the database and I click create. Okay. So I click create. So let me not call this students. Let me call this school instead. I click create. So on the norms, the name of the database should be revolving around the app you're trying to build. So in this case, I'm trying to say I'm building something relating to schools. Okay. So is either you do it this way, or you can simply come and write a query for it. Mind you, SQL is all about what query. So you can do something like create database. Then you specify the name of the database. So let me say the name, something like that. Okay. Then when I click go, so let's say syntax Marianne. Okay, so this doesn't work for it. So let me see. Let me take this off. So I put colon instead of semicolon. Let me see the error again. The name. Okay, I put colon. So let me do that again. So if you notice now by the side, you should see the name. Okay. So you should see the name. So let's go back to our school database, which is my focus. So now, under my school database, now remind you, I told you databases is just a composition of many tables, especially when you are looking at SQL. Okay. Hope we are following. I hope I'm not too fast again. Yeah, you can use MS Access if you want to. It's still a database provider. But I would advise you use stuff like this, my SQL related stuff. Okay. So, are we following? Can we proceed, please? Okay, cool. So I guess we can proceed. So what I want to do now is focus on creating a table. So the reason I named this school is because I would like to create a table called students. So mind if I'm building, let's say I'm building an app for a school. And let me say this app is involving not just the students, but the teachers, the parents, I can start like this. So let me start with students. Let me not confuse anyone. If I have to create tables to carry students, all I need to do is to click on this. You can already see create new table. Then I can specify student. Then I'll specify the number of columns and all. But I don't want to do this because I want you guys to get used to doing the actual query. Okay? So instead, I'm going to go to query. I'm going to go to, no, okay, I don't want to save. I'm going to go to query. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to use create. Mind you, create, if you could recall, is part of what? DDL, data definition language, under my SQL. So I'm going to do create table. What is the name of table? Students in this case. Then I put braces. Okay. So now I'm going to bring this down. So what do I want to store here? So I need to define the columns I need. So I'm going to do ID first, and I'll explain why. Primary. Okay. So let me write all this and I'll explain at the end. Do name, do text. Let's say I'll be taking their age as well. Their age will be integer. Okay. And lastly, let me say I'll be taking their grade, which should be integer as well. So cool. So now let me explain before I run this, okay? So I have create table, which is simply saying I'm creating a table with the name students. So if you notice, this collapsible under this code is open, but there's nothing there yet because I don't have any table inside yet, okay? So the first column you are seeing here is the ID column. So almost, in fact, it's only on rare cases. Maybe you are creating something that will relate, that doesn't need ID, maybe just a relationship based and all. But in most cases, it's necessary for you to provide an ID column that will carry something that will differentiate, that will be unique, okay? And that will stand as what we call a primary key. So a primary key is used to is the major key or maybe a column that is used to identify every role on the table. So mind you, I'm still making reference to table because everything we're doing about this database is more of tables, okay? So you need your ID. So what I have here is telling me that this ID is going to be an integer. I'm assuming we all know what integers are. Please, integers. So integer simply means numbers, okay? Positive numbers. So it's telling us that this ID is going to be an integer. It's going to be the primary key. And I'll show you what this thing does later. So the next thing we have is name. Name is what? Text. So if you notice, most of the keywords are either marked in, is this pink? I think it's close to red or pink, or marked in green. Okay? So name is text, telling us that whatever we're going to be storing here should be text-based. Then age is an integer. We don't have anybody having decimal as a name or something, as an age or so, but age is an integer. This should be grade, grade and integer. So this is just my own example, okay? I can decide to have more columns here, okay? Let me say I want to take what do we want to take again? Maybe I want to even, instead of saying name, I want to break this into first name and last name. There are also types whereby you want to even restrict the number of characters you're entering inside the database, but no, I will not complicate this for you guys. I'm doing this much so that you go ahead and study more on your own. So, in terms of keywords you can use, so yeah, when it comes to actual programming and or like programming language, use words like string. But when it comes to database, you use words like text and long text. So please go and research the various data types you have on the database. That's similarly close to what we have on your conventional programming language, okay? But you need to know the difference for both. Okay, so let's proceed. So this is what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and just click go. So when I do that, I get an empty result, blah, blah, blah. In summary, all I got was a success. Let's not bore you with this. If you notice now, formerly there was nothing under this school by the sidebar, but now we're having students here. I'm going to click on the students. Now, clicking on the students, you notice I have an empty table here that has ID, name, age, and grade. Okay. So I can also go to structure, which will show me the structure of this table. So for instance, now it's telling me that ID, integer type. Based on I didn't specify the length, it's telling me that the length of the length of characters that should be there will be 11. Text, name, text, age 11. You can see everything here. So when you have this, feel free to play. Feel free to research. Feel free to do as much as you want. Okay. So let's proceed. So I'm going to go back to browse. So the next thing we're going to do now, what we have done so far now, we have practiced with create, we have created a database, right? We also created a table. So but mind you, before we created this table, we had to make sure we are inside this database of school. So if you are running this via a terminal, because mind you, what I'm even giving you is more of an UI interface. You can also run this SQL using pure command prompts via your query, so you still get the same results. In such cases, you need to specify the table you want to use. So you use something like, you need to, let me go to the query part. If you have to select the table you want to use, a database you want to use, do something like use, then you specify the name of the database. That way, the command knows that everything you are doing is tied to this particular database, okay? But since we are using something that has a graphic interface, you can simply select the database you want to use and do what you want to do inside. Okay, so I will just pause a bit and look if instead of helping, I've ended up adding more to your problem. I'm going to look at the comment section now to see if there's any question that pertains to what we have done so far. If not, we can just proceed. So I'm looking at it now. So finally, it's offline. So I think there is no question for now. Can we use VS Code for this? Answering that question will cause more confusion to you. So I can simply say you can use your VS Code to write your query, but you cannot run it. You can, like everything I've been writing so far here, you can save it as an SQL file, but you need an actual database provider running on your system for you to run it. Okay. So can you use timestamps? Some people are already running. They're already jumping. They're already calling timestamps. Yes, but you will get there. So let's take it one at a time. So you cannot use string instead of a text because what SQL recognizes is more of text, long text. There are several others. I believe that by the time you practice, you will get to understand this better. So some is wait. Okay, let's see. So let me understand. Have I lost anybody? Is the no saying I've lost people or not? I'm seeing a lot of no. Are we all following? Or are some of us actually following? When do we get assignments? You get your assignments. You get your assignments. So we are yet to get this done. You will get it. So don't worry. So the thing is this. I've been mentioning this from the first class. If you want to go on this software development class as a whole, generally, you need to learn to start doing some research by yourself, okay? Let's say, for instance, now you come to class today, I bombard formally, you are struggling to do TypeScript. All of a sudden now, I've dragged you now to query languages. It's not compulsory you get everything immediately, okay? So just take time, find time on your own space. At least you have to maybe on Tuesday before the next class. Research on your own, okay? You need to do this for you to do. If not, if you're expecting you get everything from us, you will really not grow. Okay, some of the people we have that are really good on this are more of self-taught. So it's a case of you being zealous to learn more. Okay, so I'll proceed now. So we've used quits. The next thing I want us to use now is more of insert. So now we have created a table called student. Let's insert values into this table. And if you look at the slide I have, most of this command I have, I'm writing are already in the slide, so I don't confuse anyone. Okay. So I'm going to do insert. Okay. So if you notice, the first time I was typing, I was using capital letters. That is just for you to know which are keywords, but it doesn't really matter. SQL does not type reference to case sensitivity and all. So I'm going to write the whole of this in small letters, okay? So I'm going to do insert into students, which is the student tables we just created. Then I'm going to specify the columns I'm inserting to. So let me say I do this. I'm inserting to name, age, then grade. The values I'm inserting. So let me say the name. Okay, I'm just going to use the example I have here, which is Alice. Yep. 2085. So semicolon. So let me run this. So we have that. So let me explain what this command does. So all we are simply doing is inserting something into the database. But let's not forget that when we created this database, we specified there will be an ID column. Abi? Before the whole name, age, and grade. But when inserting, we're only inserting into name, age, and grade. For name, we're inserting Alice. For age, we're using 20. For grade, we're using 85. And yet, we did not get any error. So let's go back to this, the tables. Let's see what we actually have there. So now if you go back to the table, you can see that we have this now. We have Alice, we have 20, we have grade, and it automatically created something for us for the ID. Let's do another insertion. I'm going to go to the query again. And this time around, I'm going to try to break the code. So let's do this. I'm going to do insert into student again. This time around, I'll just do name and age. Values. Name I do, let's say Bob. Single quotes Bob. Then for age, let's do 21. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. So you can see this is throwing an error telling me, okay, I try starting into a table called students when the name of our table is what? Students. So let me add S here. Okay, let's try that again. So now this is the error I'm after. So it's telling me now that already there's an ID called 0 that exists. Okay, so it's trying to recreate the same ID again and it's flagging as an error. So, but for the sake of this class, I'm just going to do something. What I'll give you as an assignment is go and research on how you can create IDs that increase by themselves. I don't want to do that here. So now I'm specifying the ID as 1. Since we have 0 already, let's see what happens. I'm going to do go. So now it's going to. But so now let me go to my students table. So if you notice, I have 1, Bob, 21. But for grade, I didn't insert anything. And automatically gave me what? Null. So if I wanted to create a table that will not be accepting null values, I need to have specified that, please, so for this column, make sure you collect something. So for instance, now I would have done, let me go, let's see. Let me see if I can go back there. I'm going to query. So what I should have done is this. At the point of creating the table, let me quickly write that. let's say the ID is there, but I'm not after that. What I should have done is this. I should have done something like something text, and I would have do something like not null, telling the system that I don't want this thing to take null value. Okay, so do research on this on your own. It's not that difficult. So let me get the keyword. I think it's something. Is it nullable? I'm trying to record the keywords. Hold on, please. Let me see if I can get that keyword. So, I'm trying to record. So it should be not null though. So I'm trying to recall a closing bracket. Oh, the reason it was throwing error was because of this semicolon I had there. So it's actually not null. Okay. So let's go back. So for now, we have done how to create. I've also done how to insert. Let me change this to a value here because we might be using it for something later. Okay. So the next thing I want to show is how to select. How to select. So select simply means viewing. So I'm going to go to my query again. Please take notes. Everything I've been showing you so far, I'm trying to make sure that we are using actual queries. Queries are this command we are writing. Because what you are doing is just querying a certain table or maybe a group of tables for results. So we'll call them query. Okay, querying. So I'm going to clear this. The next one I'm going to do is to select. So I can do something like this: select name, grade from students. So once I do something like this and I run, it gives me the query I want. So mind you, in this query now, I'm specifying just the columns I need to see. In this case, I'm saying I just need name and grade from what? Students table. So I got just the name column and the grade. Okay? But I can still take this a bit further to say, okay, maybe I just want to get those that score above a certain number. Maybe I'm trying to grade in terms of grade A, grade B, grade C. So I can do something like where grade is greater than, say, 75. Let's say 75. So already we know that in our results, it's just one value that is greater than 75, which is what? This Alice. Okay? Then I'm going to run this. Go. And this is my results. So mind you, I'm only getting name and grade. But if it's a case I need all the columns, you don't need to start typing all the names of the columns. You can simply just do select asterisk. And you run that. And now you're getting both the ID, the name, the age, and the grade. And mind you, are getting just one rule because of what? Because of this greater than 75 that I specified here in terms of grade. Okay? So we have done create, insert, select. Is there any question so far before I touch update and delete? Are there any questions? Or is it that people are getting more lost? So let me look at the question section quickly. So how many hours did the class last? So basically the class should last for just 2 hours. So sir, this is what my SQL is saying after clicking start. Error shutting down. Blocked port. So blocked port simply means that you probably have something running on that port. Okay? You have something that is blocking that port. So you can actually configure. I'm not sure you can configure this. So what I'll need you to do is to search for what is blocking that port. Whether it's the Apache or the SQL, you need to know what is actually using that port. Then you close it. Then you should be able to run it. Okay, it shouldn't be an issue for you. So Some say yes, you are getting lost. Please find yourself. Find yourself. You are the one that say you want to do programming. So don't worry, you'll be fine. It's actually not difficult, okay? All you need to do is to calm down. Like I said, it's not a must you get everything now. You can take this whole video later, go and watch, do your research on your own, and you'll be fine. So let me quickly touch on the updates and deletes before we go on break. Okay, so let's proceed with that. So I'm going to go back to my query back. I'll just be using this same query. So now what I want to do now is I want to update. So let's say I want to change the name. Let's say I want to change this particular name to who has been complaining here so far. Let me see. I will use Peter here. I think I see one Peter here. So let's say I want to change Alice's name to Peter. So the thing is, all I'm showing you is interactions with the DB. You on your own should be picturing how does this affect when you connect your app to it. Probably you can easily make changes to maybe a student made error in filling their emails or stuff. These are the queries you'll be running underlined in the database. So let's proceed. So I'm going to start with this. Updates, that is the keyword. Let me use capital letters so it doesn't confuse you guys. Updates. The name of the table is what? Students. Set name equals to Peter. Where, so now the where is nice. You picking on what condition do you want to update this name to Peter. So I'm going to show you something. Let me do this. I won't put any condition and I will run this. I'll do go. Yeah. So what happened? If you look carefully, you will see 2 rows affected. So I'm going to go back to my table so you see what is actually in those rows. So I'm going to do select all. Select all from students. I'm going to run this. Now, if you notice, the names of the students I have, they are all Peter now. Why? I didn't specify a condition that will determine which of the role I'm making changes to, which is why IDs are important because they will always be unique. There's a possibility that we have more than 4 people bearing the same first name in the student database. So that is why with IDs, you know that ID will always be unique, except you're looking at combination of maybe first name and last name, which in some rare cases, they might be same for some people. Okay? So now, if I'm to do this properly without changing everything, let's say I just want to change for this one at the bottom, I can do something like this. I'll do updates. Mind you, are still doing the updates query. I'll do updates, student, set name equals to, in this case now, let me use Abimbola, where, now the where is the condition that will help you make sure you are affecting just the role you need. So in this case now, I can decide to maybe either use the ID or maybe the age or maybe the grade. But I can't use the name because now the name is already reflected on both places. So let me say where ID is equals to 1. I'm going to click on go. Now we have 1 role affected. So by the time I go back to my query now and I do select all from student and I run, you see that now we have Abimbola under the ID 1. Okay? So the last but not the least we're going to do before we go on break is the delete. So mind you, everything I've been doing so far is under SQL, okay, which is structured, which is a defined table, which is different from NoSQL, okay? So let's do the last query now, which is the delete. So to do the delete, use the delete keyword. So I'm going to edit this in line again, and I do this. Delete from, you specify the name of the table. So if I run this will just like the way updates updated everything. If I run delete like this, it's going to delete everything on my table. But what I want to do in this case is just delete one. Maybe I want to delete that of Peter. So I can say delete from student where name equals Peter. Go. You got one row deleted. Okay. So I'm going to edit inline again. I'm going to select the full tables now. And I'm going to do go. Now, as you can see, we have just one now. Okay. So I will stop sharing for a bit and I'll go to back to the slide. Okay. So let's go back to the slide. So I'll just look quickly if there's any question pertaining to this. If you have any questions so far on SQL, please you can drop now. So somebody is saying my screen is not clear. I'm assuming you are using your phone for this class. Please try and use the system for this and you can change the quality to see better pictures and all. Okay. So yeah, we'll be doing a survey at the end of the class to know how far. More of a question, which is part of the assessment we'll be doing. So yeah, for now that is all for practical for SQL. It's as simple as that. So with just these few stuff I've showed you, which is what create, insert, select, update, delete, you can do a lot. So if you realized the code function you guys did, I'm calling it code, sorry, the code app, the app you guys write on codes. What are the major calls you did? You did more of how to insert, right? Inserting a code. You did updating a code. I mean, you did getting a code, which is your select. So insert, you're using the insert query. Fetching, which is getting, you're using your select query. Making changes, you're using your updates. Then delete, you're using the delete. Okay, so what I even want you guys to do by the end of this class, prior to our next classes, it might be difficult, but give it a go. The way you learn is by trying and making mistakes. I need you guys to convert the code base you have access to, which is using file structure, to using database. Research on it. Look at how you can create a database, which you have just seen, how you can connect your app to a database and run queries like this. And let's see how you can go far from there. Let's see what you can do with that. Okay. So I'll be taking a break for now so that we can take our attendance. I think it's 8 already. In the meantime, I'll be looking at questions, then I'll answer them when we are back. Okay. So let's see how it goes. Thank you. Okay, I think it's time. Okay. Welcome back to the class now. So, okay, so cool. So, okay, just wait now. So, we've done introduction to SQL. We've talked about create, insert, select, update, delete, which will be revolving around the most queries you'll be performing. If care is not taken, it might be the only for some that decides not to take this further. But I'm hoping everyone goes past this. But these are basically the ones you'll be using. Okay, at least for now. So let's proceed to challenges. We already played with some challenges already, so no need to go through this. So in this case, probably you want to challenge yourself. Those that we are following while we are doing the class probably want to create a table. You want to find users based on less than a certain age, maybe students, or you want to do some updates. So you just go around and play with all these queries. The more you practice, the more you get more familiar with it. Okay. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so now we'll be discussing no SQL. So no SQL, you can ignore the table structure there. Stores data as flexible documents. We'll be doing an example. No street schema. Example, you can see the JSON example. Common examples, we have your MongoDB, which is the one I asked us to download, and we have CouchDB. You can go ahead and just search on them, okay? So now we'll be diving back to, we'll be opening MongoDB to play a little with it, okay? Just a little with it. Most of the apps you might be building for now and for starters might be revolving around SQL, which is relational because it's easy and everything is already defined. But that doesn't mean we should not expose you to no SQL. Okay? So can we proceed? Or is there any question you would like to ask before we proceed? I will just look quickly. Uh, okay, I think there's no question for now. Okay, let's proceed. Let's proceed. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. So I believe you should be able to see my screen now. Just give it some few minutes. I should see my screen. So can we proceed? Uh, just confirming to make sure we're all on same page. Okay, cool. So let's proceed. Let's proceed. So I'm going to open MongoDB now. I'm going to open MongoDB. So I have it already installed on this system. If you have not downloaded it, or probably don't have access to the link to be shared with you again. So not this Slack message. So I click on start. I go on MongoDB. So by the time you open MongoDB, you should see something like this. This guy is persistent. Notification. So if you're a first time comer on MongoDB, you should see the option of doing this, adding connection and all. Something like this. I don't know if you guys had issues installing it. I'm hoping you didn't. But if you have any issue installing it, you can just type drop the comment on the YouTube chat channel. So MongoDB is an example of no SQL. So in other words, it's not as structured like your normal MySQL that we just did now. Okay. So we just want to do some examples on MongoDB so you compare. So the thing about understanding this, why am I showing you my SQL? I'm showing you SQL, I'm showing you SQL, because you are the one it is you that will decide which of these DB will better work for the software you're trying to build. So if you recall in the last class I did, we did a while loop, we did do while loop, we did for if. We also touch on if, we also touch a bit on switch statements. All these things that we are giving you is more of like empowering you, giving you the tools that you need. But you on your own will be the one to determine, based on the situation you find yourself, which of these tools will be more useful to you. Okay? So, hence we are bringing you to MongoDB, which is also a type of DB under NoSQL. So, I'll go to this. I'm going to click connect. Then, just like data, if you still notice, you still see the whole database structure. Let me delete this. I drop. Still similar keywords. So I'm going to create a new database here. I'll click on plus. I specify the name of the database. I'm still using schools again. Or maybe want to do hospitals this time around. Let's leave it as schools. Collection name, I still call it same thing. I create database, it comes here. So already it's creating a collection inside for me, but let me delete this, which will be easier for us. Let's leave it as this. So collection in this case is more of like the other, for the SQL you call it tables, but for the NoSQL you call it collection. Just be taking note of the terms. Collection, you can just see it's more of like JSON object, and I hope you all remember the meaning of JSON. It's not another type of MySQL. It's called NoSQL. Please take it easy. If it's too much, just close your eye. Just focus on MySQL for now. Later, you come and understand it. So you don't get deviated. So let's proceed. So collection for SQL, for MySQL, we call it tables. For here, we call it collections because they are not actual tables, they are just collections. And you will see why. So let me say I create another collection called teacher. Create. You notice it created another one here. So for SQL, it's like having multiple tables. But for here, it's like having multiple collections. So I'm going to go into one now. I'm just going to pick this one, the students. What I will do is I'm going to open the terminal where I'll be writing my commands. So I'm going to do something like this. I'm still inside schools. I'm going to open my DB shell. So if you notice, I'm inside schools. Let me just press enter. There's nothing. So how do you write commands? So this one is using a DB colon, but I don't want to run this under DB. So let me close this. Hold on. I'm going to go back here. Go back to schools. Let me see from here. Let's say open shell here. So I'm trying to make sure I use schools. So if you notice, it uses the use school. Remember that thing I mentioned to you that you can easily change the database you are working on by saying use database. You can do the same thing here as well. They are looking like similar commands, but since most of the cases they are different. So the first thing I'm going to do now is show you on how to uh, insert values into a collection, not table, collection. So you want to do something like this: DB students. When I start, okay, I call this school. So probably let me rename this. Let me close this so we don't mess it up. So the collection name is school. The database name is school, but what we want to call this, we want to call this students. Okay, so we know which one we're making reference to. Yes, good name. So that is students. Okay, so now I'm going to open the shell here. So we're using school database, so we don't mess it up. So now, first thing I want to do is to insert, and I'm going to do DB, which stands for database, students, then dots insert. So if you check the slide I have, what I have there is insert, but the insert itself is depreciated. When it says something is depreciated, it's telling you that in time to come, it won't be of use again. They are planning to probably remove it in maybe more versions and all. So learn to get used to the new ones that provide it. So I'm going to use insert one, which simply means I'm inserting one data. So what am I inserting? All I need to do is to specify an object's value, okay? JSON. So I can do name. What do I want as name? Let's then use our Alice that we have there. Age, let's say 21. Grade, let's say 75. Then I press enter. So that is it. So I say acknowledge to inserted. It created an ID for me. So let me fetch what I have already. So now you're saying that to fetch, you're using find. So I want you to be taking note of the differences. To insert in SQL, we use them insert into, we specify the table, insert into the table name, we specify the columns, then we specify the values. But this one, we're doing db dots. The name, first of all, you select the database you're working on, don't forget that. Then you do db dots, the name of the name of the database, dots, the function you're calling. In this case, we're inserting one. And if you notice, there's also insert many, of which that one is going to take an array. So let's proceed. So I do find to fetch, and it gives me my results. So if you are noticing the structure of this, it's not like the other one that shows you a table format. Do you know what? Let me even go here. I'm going to click here, and you can see we have data now, not table structure. Okay, not table structure. So take note of that. So what you get more of here is more of a JSON structure. Okay, that is why if you look at this, you can see everything is enclosed in a quote. Okay, so let's insert another one. I'm going to do something different now, so you see the difference between no structure, no SQL and MySQL. So I'm going to insert to still these students. So I do students, insert one again. This time around, I'm not going to do name. I'm not even doing any column I have specified here. Let me say I do language. I do, so I hope I'm not missing anything. I do English. I say height. Let's say height. Let's say 25. So done. So if you notice, I'm not even specifying any of the columns any of the field I mean to say. It's on SQL we have columns. I'm not specifying any of the fields I've used before. Now let me fetch everything I have. You can see the structure. You can see this one has name, age, and grade. The other one has language and height. In other words, there is no defined structure. You get what I mean? So you can insert anything you want. Let me refresh this. You can see it. You can insert anything you want. So if you are building something that probably you don't know the kind of data you'll be collecting, and you don't want the table to, you don't want anything to break. You are certain you'll be collecting data, but you can't tell the actual whether you'll be collecting first name or if you'll be collecting last name. You can't tell. Please, you can consider using no SQL. Okay. So, but the thing is, you need to take note of the cases where you can switch to NoSQL or you can use MySQL. Okay, you need to look at it. Okay, so let's go back to the slide. If there's, I really don't want to push much on this. I believe in one at a time. So let's go back to the slide. So we'll go to the next slide. So we looked at a little how to insert, how to find. I'll give you a mini assignment on your own. Look at how you can perform other functions like updates, like delete, literally anything you feel you can do on SQL. Look at how you can do it on NoSQL. Okay. Okay, so I'll quickly look at the comments. Somebody saying, I'm really taking this class serious, but it's not taking me serious. Baba, maybe you need to play. That is beyond me. So the thing is this, is one at a time. Just be calm. I think I gave you a brief history of how my software development cycle is. I learned computer science in school, but still it wasn't enough for me. Okay. I went to various computer schools. I even did a project. I really don't understand what it was all about, but I sure did a project because it was necessary. So it took me about 3-4 years before it started making sense to me. So one thing is trusting the process. I see someone asking a question about which channel would I recommend. For me, there are so many videos and stuff out there. So first thing first, you need to identify what works best for you. For me, I prefer reading books. I prefer not as in books relating to programming and all. I prefer reading documentation. Maybe that might not work for you. For some people, what works for them is probably watching videos. For some people, probably you need to sit them down and teach them. So maybe you want to look at what works for you. But believe you me, if you can try to learn how to learn things based on of just documentation, you'll go far. Because many languages are coming out. As of when I started, it was more of just Java then. Now we have JavaScript. I was thinking I was getting done with JavaScript. We have TypeScript. There are so many coming out. But if you are the type that learn based on just going to documentation, going to their websites, looking at the examples, you can easily pick up any language. Okay. So what is the difference between NoSQL and MySQL? So we're going to that now. Okay. So let's just proceed with this slide. So now we have SQL versus NoSQL. Okay. So what are the major differences? What are the major differences? So first thing first, for SQL, what we have is a table structure. Okay, in terms of structure, tables. And mind you, SQL is more of relational. There's always a relation. By the time you begin to do stuff like foreign keys and all, you discover that you can have multiple tables talking with each other, related to each other, maybe via ID and all. Okay, so SQL you focus in terms of structure uses what tables. Okay, why no SQL uses what we call documents or more of JSON. I hope you remember what JSON is. JavaScript. No. If you don't remember, please go and research. Please, we won't confuse everything for you. Okay. So in terms of schema, which we just see an example now. For SQL, it is fixed. You need to define all the columns that are going to be in the table, right? You need to specify the kind of data you want to store. You need to specify. In some cases, you can even define which one will be null and which one will be null and which one won't be. how many lengths of characters you're going to install. You need to define everything you need. So meaning is fixed. But what do you derive from that? If you have something fixed, you can easily predict, okay, what you can easily make plans for, okay, this is the kind of data I want to store here. But your other one, which is no SQL, is flexible. So example, use cases, we have bank, we have ERP, enterprise resource planning systems. Basically, most of the softwares you see out there, most of them uses relational database. Why? Because they already have defined structure. Okay. So, but for examples of no SQS, you have your social chat apps, you have IoT, Internet of Things. So now, I think you guys have been asking a lot of questions. I think we should start asking you guys questions now. And so far, I've been talking and I've mentioned, okay, SQL is relational. I've given examples of at one point we want to consider using SQL and NoSQL. So can I get examples of what scenarios do you feel SQL better suited for? Example, I'll just be looking at the comment section. So what kind of softwares do you think you can work fine with SQL? I need for SQL, I need for no SQL. So school attendance, okay, that's school attendance. So now somebody is mentioning school attendance. So let's start with that because I want you guys to get the hang of this. Let me say I want to do school attendance. Let me say I want to create a table called school attendance based on the example Peter mentioned now. Uh, what are the columns I'm looking at creating for school attendance? What are the data I'm taking? So Peter, you're going to finish the good work you started. So for school attendance, what columns are we looking at here? Anybody can help. If I'm to create a table that should take school attendance, what are we looking at? So we're looking at name, okay? We got name. Maybe you want to break it into first name, last name, middle name, or you want to do just name. That is dependent on you. So what else? Somebody say attendance. So what else? School attendance. What else are we looking at? Time. Thank you. So we are looking at maybe the time the person resumed and all. Okay. Age. Do you want to take age in as attendance? Maybe, maybe not. Day. Maybe you want to do it as a date. Grade. Do you need grade in attendance? You see the way I'm asking this question. So you should ask yourself, do you actually need all this? So now we have ID. Mind you, ID in most cases is important. So you have to specify that too. Now we have name, time of arrival, date. So now somebody just mentioned something interesting. Present or absent. I was wondering when somebody will mention that. So now in terms of present or absent, now we are looking at just two values. What kind of data type are you looking at something like that? Are you looking at using Boolean or are you looking at using a enum? So you start thinking towards that angle. So someone is saying height. I don't know why you need height for attendance, but it is well. Gender. So yeah, you mentioned Boolean. So look at that. So you should start thinking in that line. What app? If I'm building an app, what data am I looking at? So if you can't get past that stage, don't code, please. Especially when what you're building is a web app, not a website. Okay. So can we get another example apart from let's say we're done with school attendance. Let's look at another one. Let's say I'm going to pick anyone from the comments. Yeah, days of the week. Yeah, still under school attendance. Let's say we're done with school attendance. What else can we do? Auto increments. Yeah, somebody and you are mentioning that you don't understand this. But let me leave that. Let me assume I didn't see that. Authentication. Not really. Authentication is more of maybe logging in and all. Let's leave that. Delivery service. Okay, that is an interesting one. Let's use a delivery service. A delivery service. Okay. So in terms of this delivery service, let's start from the basic. What are the tables we need? Who will be the actors there? What are the people that will be using this delivery service? Let's leave voting system. We'll come to that later. For delivery service, who and who will be using this software? Who am I building this software for? Departments, delivery service. Okay, we can have departments in a delivery service. Okay, you know what? Let's be more specific. Let's say we are building a delivery service for a logistic company. Okay, the delivery service for a logistic company. So, what are the kind of tables that we're looking at creating? We have clients, okay? You can call them clients. That is fine. That is fine. Individuals, users, they all founder users, okay? So, what else? What other table do you think we are creating apart from the users? We know the users. Yeah, you can call it customers as well. We know these tables we are just mentioning is just to take details. What I'm asking now is the various tables. Let's calm down. We've already talked on users, customers, clients. Let's assume it's just one table. Do we need another table apart from the user table? That's what you should be asking yourself. Now, somebody say orders. You already called it a delivery system, meaning people will be using your platform to deliver something, which is orders. So let's start from the clients. So what are the kind of information do you want to take from your clients? Do you need to know their heights? No, we don't. Do we need to know their age? Maybe. So we have address, okay, we have ID. So we'll come to the order. Let's start with the clients or the user detail. What do we need from our user? We need address, we need phone number to call them. Package ID, we go to orders. Let's keep that a bit. So we need a name, we need phone number, we need address. Is there another thing we need? I'm not sure we need much from the customer, right? We don't care if they are male or female. All we need to do is to make sure that they're actual humans and we can contact them. So let's go to the order. Let's say a customer wants to use your platform to deliver something. What do you need from the customer? So I see somebody already mentioned the weights of the package. Yeah, that works. Weight of item, okay. Do you want to know the kind of item inside? Is that your problem? I don't really know. Items column, okay. Gender. Do you actually want to know the gender of the person signing? Maybe you want to use it for analytics or so. Yeah, drop off station, amount in cash. I'm thinking where that does that apply. Are you saying make reference to the cash, the value of the item? Maybe. Payment method, yeah, quality, quantity. So stuff like that. So I think we have done enough examples. But so far we have been discussing SQL if you realize. Can we now move to no SQL? So far, everything I've been mentioning so far have this thing here. I see total price, time delivered. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So far, everything I've been mentioning so far has a defined structure of tables. Okay. Now let's go to the hard one, the ones you guys are running away from. Now we want to build something that does not give me an example of an app you feel you can build that you cannot really predict the kind of data you will need in the future. Anyone? So let's start from that. Now we're looking at no SQL now. Okay, we have done a lot of SQL already. So for movie app, okay, okay, movie app. I think that works. Weather app, okay. I will hold you accountable, Mr. Kola. Weather app. So why weather app? Why do you think weather app falls under this? So mind you, it's your app. You are the one that gets to define. And there's no right or wrong answers here. As far as you can confidently defend the example you are giving me, you are good. Okay? So we see MS Access kind of app. After MS, okay, let me know laugh. MS Access kind of app. Let's leave that. Facial recognition. You people are taking this thing far. Dating app. Dating app. We can think you can easily achieve that with your SQL. Except that there are probably data in my security app. Okay, so like I said from the onset, there's no right or wrong answers. All I need you to do is the moment you picture this, what kind of data is it in? So first of all, let's start from somebody that mentioned traffic app. Let's all focus on traffic app now. Mr. Olarewaju, you mentioned traffic app. So traffic app now. What kind of collections do you think you will need for a traffic app? Can you help me with something? I don't want to call it tables, but I believe you know what I mean. A document. So, what kind of structure do you think you'll be taking for a traffic app? If you can't answer that question, then there is a problem. Okay. So, anything you are mentioning, you need to think towards okay, if I'm mentioning this, what kind of data do I need? Why am I saying that? Like, why do you think I need to use SQL for this? Why am I not using why am I using no SQL? Can't I use SQL for this? So you need to compare all these things. Okay. So I just hope I've not confused you guys more. So now is there any question so far? I think we have done a lot of examples now. Is there any question before I proceed? Is there any question? No question. We understand everything. Those that were lost are found now, Abby. Now, somebody said license plate. I don't really know which kind of. Maybe you want to be more specific. E-commerce app you can build with SQL. You don't really need no SQL for that. But like I said, you can if you want to. It's all dependent on you. There's nothing preventing you from kind of keeping to a structure when you use no SQL. Okay, you can define the kind of data you want to put inside. That is all on you. So when to use SQL and not, that's why I say if you have to do this, you need to focus on the comparison. Do you know the major thing you should be focusing on is the schema for you to decide? Is it fixed? Do you know all the columns you will need? Or is it something that is dynamic, that is changing? If it's something that is changing, you can go ahead and use NoSQL. If it's fixed, please just save yourself the stress and use SQL for proper relationship. Okay. So why is MongoDB usually used with Express.js application? So the thing is this. For me, I like using. I don't just use things because of other people are using. The fact that MongoDB is used doesn't mean that you cannot use conventional SQL or Postgres and all. So before choosing a database, you don't want to do things because of people are doing it. Okay, you want to ask yourself, what is the essence of this? What am I trying to build? Which is why we are taking our time to make sure you have the right foundation to answer these questions. So, sir, can we use NoSQL for an engineering app like AutoCAD? Yeah, sure. So the thing is this, even the stuff I mentioned, if it's flexible and or in terms of you don't have a fixed schema, you can also use SQL to achieve the same thing, but just that you will need to be defining more columns and adding more conditions. Okay, so you can actually use it for a medical app. Can we use NoSQL for engineering? Yeah, you can. You actually can. Okay, so you can actually do. So someone is still asking the difference between SQL and NoSQL. At least I believe it's on the screen. This is just the basic difference I can give you. Okay, if you need more clarification, please go online and research. Don't limit yourself to what we are giving to you. Okay, so now someone asked, do you understand the usage of remote database for offline apps? So the thing is this, basically, if you are building an app or here and you have to host it, you can't have the database running locally. Everything we have done so far is because we are building locally. And when I say locally, I mean I'm building with my system. Okay. But if you have to host this, meaning your database needs to be close to where you are hosting it, which it should be on the server. So in some cases, your database can be on the same, some people might call it droplet, some people might call it virtual machine. It can be on the same server, or it can be a managed database, which is more expensive, but is managed for you. So let me not cloud you with those maybe too much or unnecessary information for now. So one at a time. By the time we are done with this, we will guide on a session on how you can host a basic app we have built. Okay. So I think I'll just go to the next slide. I'm not really getting any questions like that. Most of the questions I'm seeing here, I believe is something you can research. Okay, you can search and get questions on it. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Not really much. So wrap up. So what have we learned so far? So far, we have learned the basic definition of database. Okay, we have We have looked at SQL versus no SQL, basic, and we do some few querying examples. Okay, and yeah, I think that is basically what we did. So what I want you to try. So far for this example, we used my SQL, okay, that was running on the XAMPP server. We started the SQL instance, then we started the Apache instance and all. There's still another one called SQLite browser. I need everyone to go and download that, search for it online. I'm not providing any link. Search for it online, try to play with it. Try to run similar things you have done today and see if you can replicate it and try to see the difference. Okay? So, another thing I'm going to speak on, I'm done with the slides for now. Another thing I'm going to speak on is based on what I said from the onset. We already did an app 2 classes ago, an app that provides quotes. What I need you to do, you can call it a semi project, is I stated it before and I'm going to state it again. I need you to convert this app. Okay, to instead of interacting with a file, to interact with the database. Do that. And by the next class, we'll most likely talk about it. In fact, you'll be proud of yourself if you can achieve that. You have done well. So I'll be looking at questions for now. I'm not sure there's any other thing I need to touch on. And with this, I'll just mention some things, some quick things. So when you connect your app to, I'll be calling some word terminologies. It's not to scare you, but you get to understand it better. When you connect your app to your DB, your code base to your DB, you are either performing maybe pure queries. You see all these queries you are writing so far, we call them raw queries. Okay, you might end up performing such queries, or you might use what we call eloquence or models. I need you to research on that as well. You do a lot of research. You are the one that say you want to study software programming, software development. It's not easy, but I believe you can do it. Okay, so there are so many packages out there that makes it easy for you to connect your database to your app. Okay, that will help you do this whole model stuff and all. I think there's one I use of recent SQLite. There are many of them. And mind you, I mentioned something from my first class that uh, we are not teaching you to make you feel like JavaScript or TypeScript is the best and all. That doesn't mean that those that are using Python are better than those that are using JavaScript or TypeScript. For me now, I use Laravel, which is a PHP framework. Okay, what we want you to do is learn the fundamentals of programming. That way, it's easier for you to pick up any language of your choice. And please, no language is better than another. It's all dependent on the kind of app you are trying to build. Okay, so I think that is that. So I mentioned all these terminology for you to just do a quick research. So if you notice, I've mentioned eloquent, I've mentioned raw SQL queries. I also mentioned something like SQLized. We also mentioned things like Postgres and all. Please go back, watch these videos and do researches on your own. That is the only way you grow. Okay, that's the only way you grow. So with that being said, I'll be taking questions for 5 minutes, then we can draw this class. We can simply close this class. So is there any question? Maybe pertaining my class or classes you have had before. Is there any question? I'll be taking questions for now. So how can a data science uh, efficiently benefit comes with software dev? Why do I feel like that question is not for this scope? So first thing, ask yourself, what do those that study data science do? So probably, so this is just me giving an answer off book. So let me see. Uh, Data science benefits for Chrome. Well, probably it will make it easier for you to implement stuff. Data science is all about data, if I'm not mistaken. Now, programming is making the data virtually available for those that will have access to it. So I think it's left for you. There are different stuffs, except you want to make them relate. So somebody is saying question. You don't remember the question. Is there any question or we understand everything? I felt some people are lost before. It's like everyone is found now. Is there any question? I mean, but do you have any question? You have been lost since last three class, and you have not found yourself. Please try and find yourself, okay? So it's not a must you move with the pace of others. I'm betting you if you can take your time to look from day one class down to now, as you are watching it, you are pausing it, you are doing research, you are reading on your own, you will get this. It's not that difficult. You just need to be patient. Okay. Uh, when we integrate SQL, when will we? So we might and we might not. Maybe that will be towards our workshop, towards the end of this class. But I'm asking you to learn to do this without us for now, pending them. So can you try doing this with less guidance, color? That is what I'm asking of you. Try to do this without guidance. So what I even expect for you guys after I saw a lot of examples, I saw restaurant, I saw dating app, create your database on it. Stay on your own and think what are the tables will I need to create a restaurant app? Create the tables. What are the columns that will be in these tables? Create them. Research on how to do relationship and foreign case. By the time you start developing this basic knowledge, it becomes easier for you when you start doing the difficult stuff. Okay? So, uh, is there okay? So, sir, please throw more light on backend programming. So, for me, I think backend programming is more of like those that you see when you act movie, you hear of those behind the scene. So many a times it looks as if those doing front end gets to take all the glory, but we are the back end guys are the one that actually make the things work. So I've happened to work on a software for someone where the person was just telling me, this thing is not working, it's not working, it's not working. What was not working? Simply because of the front end wasn't appealing to the person. So what I'm trying to tell you in general is no one is more important than the other. You cannot say back end is more important than front end. They work hand in hand. You might end up building stuff, but if your customers have no way to interact with it, which is the front end, you're just building for yourself. Except you're just exposing it as a set of collections and all. So, Abimbola, I can't see your question. If you answer, please, how do I get the JSON app for VS coding? I joined the class a bit late. So, will be provided the links again. I will reach out to you guys. I think there's a WhatsApp channel. I'll ask for the links to be shared again. So all I needed you to do is to download XAMPP and MongoDB. But there are others. There are others. As me, I were to use my system, my Mac system. I literally might not even use XAMPP because already Mac comes with an SQL setup. You just need to set up NGS and some other stuff, or you're using Apache. But don't let me bore you with that. But to make sure we are all on same ground, that is why I use XAMPP. Okay. There are several others out there. So it's all dependent on you. So you cannot really separate backend from database because they work hand in hand. Except you don't intend to store your data somewhere. Probably you want to store your data on a file system like what we did for the last two classes. But if you intend to build something robust, you must be communicating with a database that will be storing this data. Okay? So they work hand in hand. So the database stores the data received from the backend, which serves as what? As an API. We also remember the meaning of API. So, so the website is not working. So if it's not working, I believe we all can still use Postman, I think. So you can basically look postman. Mr. Abimbola, I can't really see your question. Probably you want to drop it again. I'm not seeing your question. Uh, so, relationship. So I will skip this when the time comes. You get to this. So I think that is that. I'm believing I've answered any question. Abimbola, I'm not seeing your question. Sir, please, when are you going to see our score from assessments? Who told you I've not seen it already? I'm just hoping a lot of you did well though. I really don't know. And you guys complained as if the class is a bit difficult. From the scores we have seen so far, I believe we're on the right track, so we're doing well. Okay, so if sometimes need to be use UPN and try it again. So in real life, what are the differences between SQL and no SQL? So probably we're doing fake life. So Abimbola, go and research. Ask. So go and research. Don't worry. You'll be fine. I think that is that. So I'm going to call it a night. I'm not getting any questions. I'm not getting any questions that really pertains. Yeah, you'll be getting the slides. As for assignments, you will get assignments. So just we share the link. We'll share the link to the assignment via the WhatsApp channel. Okay. So the class wasn't that difficult. It's just the understanding. Yeah, that is why you need to be patient. Okay. You just need to be patient. So I guess that is that. I think I've answered a lot of questions. If there's anyone I skipped, please, I'm sorry. I'm trying to answer as much as I can. And believe you me, I believe if you are to research on any questions you ask or now, you will get answers on it, okay? But if I don't answer your questions now, you can keep it till our next class. I believe any instructor taking that class, if it's me or Mr. DJ or Mrs. Sola, you get proper answers to them. Okay. I think that is that. Enjoy the rest of your nights. It's nice having this session with you guys. I'm hoping to have more session with you guys. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you, everyone. Good night. So, I think I will still be a bit just. I think I'm still seeing some questions. Let's not look like we still have like 8 minutes. So let me just focus on questions for now. Will there be any physical class? I'm not sure I'll be the one that will answer that. We have 5 minutes to ask more questions, please. So let them not say they asked and they did not answer. So this is your chance to ask. Next class. So maybe not. So the thing is this, and I think I need to say this here. All the hands you have on this class, there are people I've even learned from. There are people I've learned from. They are all great. You just need to be patient. You just need to be patient. It's not easy imparting knowledge, and your cooperation is what is needed. And even if you don't get it during class, please don't give up. Just listen to the jargons. Later, just go ahead and rewatch the video. And believe you me, the reason why we have this platform is even if you don't get it, there might be one or two persons within your set that have actually understand what has been taught so far. Okay? So please, if it sounds like jargons, it's because maybe you are new to it. Just give it time and come back to it again. So elements, is it learning management software? Okay, it's not that question is not for me, it's for someone else. Is there any other question? I think we are good now. Any other question? So my name, I think someone asked my name. I think my name was at the first slide I presented. Uh, Let me see. Can I go there to slide one? It's not like I forgot my name though. So my name is Chukudi Emegbe. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Okay. I have a challenge with my LMS. Who can I reach out to? You don't worry. The admin is taking note of all this message. Someone will reach out to you. Hopefully, someone will reach out to you. I'm also going to follow up on it. Was it sent just now? Was it sent just now? So I'm guessing there's no more questions. So for now, I'm just going to remain here. If I see any questions, because I'm trying to answer as much as I can, so that we won't get more lost. For those that were lost before now, you can ask your questions. So for those that are okay, please, you can feel free to leave. I believe. Is there any more question? You just said yes without answer. Yeah. So, so okay. Yes. I've been promised a slide before. So we promise that the slides will be provided. It will be provided for. So the LMS platform that is being created, you will have all slides provided there. And all slides we have been using so far will be compiled and uploaded there, so it will be accessible to you. So don't worry about that. For now, just focus on getting the message, on understanding the class. Okay. So how can data be stored in my SQL if system is lost? It's a very interesting question. So the thing is this: in most cases, system loss. I will know is using system loss may not answer the question, because if you are using your local system, except I'm assuming you are referring to a system online and all. If you are using your local system, it's most likely for test purpose. But if you are saying that let's say you host a website and you probably accidentally deleted the database, the stuff and all. This is me telling you what is lost is lost. But the thing is this: when you use some online services, they give you the option of backing up. Okay, that is why you hear so many people that do online stuff. They always have a backup server. There's always a backup instance. Either you're backing up the full instance or you're backing up just the database. There should be a backup. So if you are doing things that you know is very critical, please create a backup. And in most cases, it's not expensive. So when I say backup, I don't mean downloading the database locally on your system. No, there are online services that provide backup. Some are just part of the package, some you need to specify. For instance, if you use stuff like Digital Ocean, you probably need to set up that you need a backup of a certain booklet and all. There are some external service like there's one we call Simple Server Backup, and the backup boots your data storage, your database, your storage files, and your instances. So if you want to work on a client database, how do I access it? If you have to access it, you need to get credentials from the client. It's not your own. It will probably give you the hosts, the port is running, and the username and password. So I think that is that. We are at 9:01 now, and I think some of us are just looking at questions just to ask questions. So I think we are good. So enjoy the rest of the day. The night, I mean. Good night, everyone.
Dear DSA students, We are so excited to be on this journey with you, and we want to say a big well done for your commitment and enthusiasm so far. Whether you have just joined or you have been learning with us over the past few weeks, we see your progress and we are rooting for you all the way. Now, we know there's been a bit of silence around the learning management system, and we sincerely apologize for that. But here's the good news. We have an update as regards the learning management system, and it is one you'll love. Some of you may have been onboarded on the previous LMS, but want to ask that you kindly disregard any previous link, platform, or communication concerning that old system. We are officially switching to a new platform that you may be familiar with, Canvas by Instructure. For those new to Canvas, don't worry. A video tutorial will be uploaded to guide you step by step on how to use the platform effectively on our YouTube channel. You will also receive an onboarding email directly from Canvas by Instructure to help you get started. Please follow the instructions in the email and input your details to begin your learning journey on the platform. We are committed to making sure your learning experience is smooth, interactive, and impactful. So please, pay close attention to the announcements coming right after this video for more details. We are so glad to have you with us. Keep going. We've got this.